This meeting is being video recorded, and by participating via teleconference, you are giving your permission to be televised. This meeting will be rebroadcast every Saturday and Sunday at 9 a.m. and alternate Tuesdays at 8 p.m. and is also available for live viewing at https://attendeegotowebinar.com, register long numbers, and archive viewing on the city's website at www.diamondbarca.gov. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Tai.
Would you stand and join me in pledging allegiance to the flag of the greatest country on God's green earth?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Tai. Ms. Santana, can we please have roll call?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Chow?
Here.
Councilmember Liu?
Here.
Councilmember Tai?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Blow?
I'm here.
Mayor Lyons?
I'm here too, thank you. Okay, are there any changes to the agenda, Mr. Fox?
No changes this evening.
Thank you. Is there a city manager report and recommendation?
Mayor and Council, yes, I have a couple of items I will want to share with the Council. First, I want to take this opportunity to clarify some confusion that seems to be in the community on how individuals may participate in the Council meetings, particularly related to submitting public comments. The City Council encourages and appreciates public participation in all our Council meetings and Commission meetings, whether that's in person, on the phone, or by email. At the beginning of the pandemic, we started the practice of reading emails into the record because our meetings were held exclusively through teleconference online, and we wanted to make sure that there was no barriers to the public participation. As of June, we changed that practice slightly because we were confident in the proven accessibility of our GoToWebinar platform, as well as the return to in-person meetings, providing the public with greater opportunity to participate directly in the meetings. This change was identified and has been and continues to be identified on the City Council and Commission agendas. And the City Clerk now responds with an email confirming receipt of the public comment and indicating that it'll be forwarded to the City Council and noted for the record at the meeting. Information is also provided on how to join the meeting in person and online. As has always been the practice, all public comments received, whether in person or in writing, are noted for the record and included in the City Council meeting minutes following that are approved typically the following meeting. There was never any requirement under the Brown Act for emails to be read verbatim at the meetings. Our current practice continues to be in full compliance with the Brown Act, which we take very seriously. Written public comments received will continue to be forwarded to the City Council in advance of the meeting, printed for public viewing at the meeting, scanned into the agenda file, accessible to the public online the day after the meeting. Again, the City Council welcomes and appreciates your participation in the meetings, and I hope this clarifies and how those opportunities to participate continue to evolve as we navigate through this health crisis. And with that, I'd also like to introduce or invite Jeff Klein. He is the Manager of Civic Engagement, Community Relations, and Legislation from the Los Angeles County Registrar of Voters Office. And he's going to provide a brief update on the voting process for the upcoming gubernatorial recall election being held on September 14th. Mr. Klein?
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So yes, I'm Jeff Klein. I appreciate the invitation tonight to speak to the council and members of the public about the upcoming recall election. And so I do oversee civic engagement, community relations, and legislation at the Registrar with County Clerk. If anyone needs any assistance beyond the election, I'm always available. Please feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to partner on any outreach or anything that you do in the city of Diamond Bar. But for this election, I have a few slides here. If we can go to the next slide. So We put together this slide that shows an overview of key dates. Some of them have already passed. In July, we do this candidate filing. We also sent out the overseas ballot, which is that UOCAVA ballot mailing. That's for military and overseas voters. That went out on July 31st. And as we move through August, vote-by-mail ballots have been sent out. Hopefully everyone has received theirs by now, and if you haven't received yours, you should get it in the next day or so. Personally, I received mine yesterday. We do have in-person voting that has opened at our headquarters in Norwalk. If anyone would like to vote in person at this time, they may come down to Norwalk. Vote centers will open in September, and I'll talk about that in a minute. We've also opened up all of our drop boxes around LA County. There's 400 of them total around LA County, and they're spread out. And this is a very popular program for voters. We really encourage voters to utilize drop boxes if they wish. August 30th, I do want to note, is the close of voter registration. Anyone registered by August 30th will get a ballot by mail sent to them at their house. If you miss the registration deadline, you can still participate in the election, and you can utilize our traditional voter registration service, but that is in-person service. Moving on to September, on September 4th, our 11-day vote centers will open up. Those will be open starting September 4th through Election Day. And then on September 11th, the remainder of our vote centers will open up, and those are our 4-day vote centers. And then, of course, Election Day is September 14th. We also will perform all the usual audits and post-election activities, the canvass. That will take place late September and into October. On October 14th, we would wrap up the canvass, and then the Secretary of State will certify the election on October 22nd. Okay, next slide. So this election is a little bit different than what most voters are used to. We haven't had a statewide recall since 2003. So there's essentially 2 questions on the ballot. The first question will ask, shall Gavin Newsom be recalled or removed from the office of governor? And it's framed in a yes or no question. So voters may choose to vote yes or no on that question. And then the second question will ask, candidate to succeed Gavin Newsom as governor if he is recalled, and there's 46 candidates, and voters have the option, regardless of how they voted on question 1, they have the option to vote for a candidate on question 2. Voters can vote for one of the questions or both of the questions. It's really up to the voter. For the question 1, it's a 50% vote. Whichever yes or no, whichever one gets more than 50%, that's what will take effect. If it is yes, then whoever received the most votes in question 2 will succeed Gavin Newsom. So this question 2 is not dependent on 50%, it's just whoever gets the most votes. Okay, next slide, please. We have a number of voter services very similar to what you experienced in the November election. Everyone will receive a vote-by-mail ballot. If a voter mails their vote-by-mail ballot, as long as it's postmarked by election day, we will receive all vote-by-mail ballots up to 7 days after the election. Around LA County, we will have vote centers open again on September 4th and all the way through the 14th. We have 108 11-day vote centers and 145 4-day vote centers. And at the end of this presentation, I do have the diamond bar locations noted, and I'll highlight those at the end. Hours will be the same as what we had in November. For the early voting period, it will be 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and on election day, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. As mentioned, we had 400 ballot drop-offs. They're all open at this time. And also the remote accessible vote-by-mail option is available to any voter. Normally that's for voters with disabilities, but any voter can use. Okay, next slide. A few ways that you can return your vote-by-mail ballot. This is for many voters during the pandemic. This is the preferred way of voting. We really encourage this as the contactless method. Although in-person voting is available, if anyone would like to utilize that instead, they can just discard their vote-by-mail ballot. But if you do return your vote-by-mail ballot, you can do so by mail. It's postage paid. You can use our vote-by-mail drop box as mentioned, or you can walk it into a vote center and drop it off beginning September 4th. So that is 3 different ways to return your vote-by-mail ballot. We have some additional resources available if anyone would like to track their vote-by-mail ballot. You can do so at california.ballottracks.net. That's a state program called Where's My Ballot, and it gives voters real-time updates as their ballot makes its way through the process. Also, voters can request a replacement vote-by-mail ballot or a multilingual vote-by-mail ballot if they don't normally receive a multilingual ballot. And also, we know that during the summer, it's an unusual time for an election. A lot of people travel. You can request a vote-by-mail ballot to go to a temporary mailing address. If we go to the next slide, this is a screenshot of the vote-by-mail page. So please utilize this resource if this is something you need to do, or for the residents of Diamond Bar. Again, everything is on our website at lavote.net. And on the right are the different languages that we offer election services. The next slide. For Diamond Bar, I highlighted the locations. There's 2 drop boxes in the city, Pantera Park and Diamond Bar's library. But of course, if you go to the lavote.net page and you look up the vote-by-mail Dropbox locator, you can type in any address. So I may choose to drop it off by their work, maybe it's outside the city, or maybe they live in a portion of the city, it's a little bit closer, maybe to go into Walnut or some of the other areas. But those are the ones in Diamond Bar. And then for vote centers, there's one vote center in Diamond Bar. It's the Northminster Presbyterian Church. It's an 11-day vote center. And then I actually listed a few that are near Diamond Bar just for reference. Westmont Park, Poly Pomona, and Walnut High School. One thing we want to note about the vote centers, a lot of people ask why there's a lot fewer for the recall election. It's structured in a way that's like a special election. So the total number of vote centers required is lower in a special election. However, the duration of those vote centers is structured like a regular election, which is why we have both the 11-day and the 4-day vote centers. All right, next slide. Okay, now lastly, I'll wrap up here. We are running our vote centers using our safe election plan. All election workers will be required to wear masks. Our voters will also be required to adhere to public health guidelines. I believe it's a little bit of a fluid situation that we're monitoring. At the time, once the vote centers go into effect, we will follow whatever those programs are, and most likely will be required that voters wear masks as well. We have a stop station at each vote center. What that is a table where we have PPE equipment, masks, hand sanitizer, and so forth. That will be at each vote center. We will also sanitize all the equipment. After a voter uses a ballot marking device, we wipe it down. After a voter signs the electronic poll book, we also wipe that down, just to make sure it's safe and clean environment for everybody. And then we are social distancing, not just the ballot marking device, but also the line, for if there happens to be a line where people will be spaced apart. And that's it. Okay, that's the last slide. All right, and I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
That concludes the city manager report, unless there's any questions.
Thank you. Does council have any questions? Looks like Councilmember Ty does.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Klein, can you comment on the lawsuit that was filed today challenging the constitutionality of the recall of Governor Newsom and what, if any, headaches it presents for you and LA County in managing this process?
So that would be something that would be filed through this, in terms of the state. We just administer the election per the election code, and we will take any direction from the Secretary of State's office if a lawsuit like that would change. At this time, we don't anticipate anything. I think it's challenging just the legal application of the recall process itself. So for us, really, we just stick to the administrative side, and those statewide legal issues get resolved at a little bit level of government above us.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have, it looks like Councilmember Chow does. Please go ahead.
Mr. Klein, thank you again for being on the call with us. I do have a question, and this has come up a few times. So on the ballot, since there are 2 questions, can you clarify that the 2 questions are independent of each other, meaning that if someone answers no on the first question, they can still pick a candidate on the second question? Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, you can vote yes or no regardless. Even if you vote no, you can still vote for a replacement just in case that does happen, and the yes portion succeeds in question 1. And also, some people have asked, do I have to vote for both questions? So just to clarify, you can vote for one or both of the questions.
Great, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, do you have a question? Or Council Berlew, do you have a question? No? Okay. Looks like that would be all of our questions. Thank you so much for your presentation. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I hope everyone have a great evening.
And there is no other city manager's report, right? Okay, thank you. Okay, it's now time for public comments. Public comments is the time reserved on each regular meeting agenda to provide an opportunity for members of the public to directly address the council on consent calendar items or other matters of interest not on the agenda that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. Although the city council values your comments, pursuant to the Brown Act, members of the city council or staff may briefly respond to public comments if necessary, but no extended discussion and no action on such matters may take place. There's a 5-minute maximum time limit when addressing the city council. For those of you that like to address us, please fill out one of these speaker cards and give it to our city manager. And after we finish the in-person public comments, then we're going to do the teleconference ones. And we will do them one at a time. Okay, so let's start with our in-person comments. And the first person I have here is C. Robin Smith. If you would please approach the podium.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Honorable City Council and staff. I'm very grateful to be able to speak this evening. I especially want to thank City Manager Dan Fox for your wonderful explanation about the meeting minutes and public comments. I truly appreciate that. I didn't get my question answered though, because that's what I'm here to speak about tonight. So I understand that the public comments are not spoken or recited at these meetings, and I don't have a problem with that at all. What I am not seeing are the emailed written meeting minutes for the June 16th Tres Hermanos Conservation Authority meeting, which I believe had another meeting in July, okay? And I've had many people who submitted comments for that ask me where did the meeting minutes, or I'm sorry, the comments, the public comments for that meeting go. They're still not posted. And then tonight, the August 3rd City Council meeting. Now, I've been checking, I didn't check the last few hours, but I didn't see any of the written comments. I think there were 6 speakers that submitted emailed written comments for that particular meeting, and they are not attached to those meeting minutes you are set to approve tonight. So my question is, where are those comments, okay, in writing, so people can read them? And will you vote tonight approving those the August 3rd meeting minutes without those 6 written comments accompanying that? Many people that have talked about this, we see this as some sort of censure. We remember in the general plan meetings that we always did see the public comments attached to the appropriate meeting minutes when they got approved. So we got used to that system. And we would like to know what the policy is, because it disengages the public participation when you don't have a coherent stream of public comments attached to the meeting minutes for people who read city documents. I'm grateful for you to talk about this, explain this, help me understand what's going on here, because I do get involved with people that want to learn more about civic participation, and I want to be accurate about what the city is doing here and how they're handling public comments, written public comments, whether they're sent in, snail mail, or emailed. Okay. Once again, I'm very grateful for your other explanation, Mr. Fox, and thank you very much.
Okay, next we have Mindy, and I think it's Farabee. Is that correct? Okay, please come to the podium.
Good evening, Mayor Lyon, Mayor Pro Tem Lowe, Councilpersons Chow, Liu, and Tai. My name is Mindy Farabee, and I've been a resident of Diamond Bar for over 30 years. Thank you for the opportunity tonight to speak to you in regards to public engagement in Diamond Bar. Mr. Fox addressed some of what I was going to discuss at the beginning of the meeting regarding the submitted comments. I was not aware at the time, last meeting, that when I submitted my comments electronically, they would not be written, and I must admit I felt silenced. My comment and others are supposed to be available on the city website right now for anyone to see. I have tried, but I cannot access them through the city website. I can only see them with a special link provided to me by the city. It appears to me that the city, possibly not by design, but is burying information on the website, making it difficult to access information, and then requiring an individual to contact the city for help. This gatekeeping of public information serves no purpose other than allowing the city to monitor who is accessing what is supposed to be public information. At the last City Council meeting, Mayor Lyons was discussing the LA County Public Health website and its data with Councilperson Chow. In her comments on their website, she said, and I quote, "I agree the data is there. It's not where people look. It's not easy for people to look." And I would like to suggest that the mayor and the council look at the city's website and how difficult it is to find and access information. The actual user experience censors public access. There doesn't appear to be any explanation or how-to guide to using the website, and in comparison, I've gone to other cities' websites and found them to be much more user-friendly. I am requesting, as I believe others have in the past, that the city website be made more user-friendly and accessible to all residents of Diamond Bar. I'm a retired teacher who spent decades in public schools working with students, parents, and my district to ensure the best education possible for each student. Part of my job was to make sure that all relevant information was given to or easily accessible by the parents so we could work together toward a common goal. I believe as public servants, every council member should be working to make sure all residents have easy access to all public information. I would like the members of the council to consider that when the public is left out of the process or access to information is obstructive, then decisions by the council are less likely to be supported by the public. What can follow is that the trust in public officials erode, and over time, it may lead the public to decide that possibly new public officials should be elected. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next, we have Ching Ho.
Good evening, Madam Mayors, members of City Council, city staff, and members of the audience. My name is Ching Ho from the Diamond Bar Library. The Board of Supervisors approves LA County Library as a fine-free department. So fine-free means overdue fines will no longer be charged. So all the past late fees will still be eliminated. We're really excited to remove this barrier to enjoying library services. Just a reminder for the library, Diamond Bar Library, which is part of the LA County Library, opens to the public on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Tuesday from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Hopefully we'll see you there. Actually, just over there. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else in the audience tonight that would like to address the City Council? Okay, seeing nobody else, do we have anybody online that would like to address the City Council?
Yes, Mayor Lyons. And also I should note that we did not receive any public comments for tonight's meeting. At this time, if any member of the public joining this teleconference would like to address the City Council, please click on the raise hand icon in the GoToWebinar program. I will unmute you one at a time, and you'll know it is your turn to speak when you hear your name and the recording unmuted. So the first caller is Ms. Shadricka Doshi.
Mayor Nancy Lyons and all the council members. I would like to address, the incident that happened last Friday with my son. Whose car was broken into in the shopping center, Diamond Bar, corner of Diamond Bar, Boulevard and Grand. He went just for 10 minutes to go his groceries while his window was broken and his portfolio from his back seat was stolen. He was pretty shook up, because this is the first time it happened to him. He right away called, us, mom and dad, his brother, this is what happened, So my husband went over there, and my other son went over there, and then my son had to call the police that this is what has happened. So the police came, took the report, and then later, my son also called the bank he went to in Diamond Bar, that is on the corner of Gilliakinan Boulevard. This is Gilliakinan Boulevard and Colima Road. That's where he went to the bank. So my son called right away to the bank. This is what happened, and check, save your video for today. If this person's car was there, because when it happened in the Diamond Bar, when his car was burglarized, the public gave him somebody from the public gave him the video. That this person broke your car. So we had a picture of that vehicle. It was SUV out of state. I think it was a Washington license plate. And then we gave that same video, and when the bank gave us the video, both matched. So apparently, this person had followed my son all the way from there, from the bank to this on the corner of where his car was burglarized. He went in the Walmart shopping center just for 10 minutes. So just wanted to find out what is going on, this kind of crimes, because the police also reported that this is not the first time that these criminals have, followed people going, the people from the bank, and wherever they are going, they are followed. So this was very much concerning. I wrote an email to Mayor, and Mayor has responded that, this case is given to detective, and hope this person is found soon, because, we are in a business, we have to go to the bank all the time. And I do not want my son to go in fear that again something will happen, that he can change the location of the bank or whatever, but this is what is happening. So I want to find out what kind of safety measures are taken by the city council or the, or the police, because it looks like when my son went to the police, they didn't take it so seriously that this happens all the time. So there is nothing new, what you are saying, So, look like, they will find somebody when they can do it, And also we heard from other people that, even these people are found, maybe they get 1 or 2 days jail and they are out right away, and doing this kind of crime. We as the citizens are not getting any guns. And they have access to all the guns or anything they want, and they can break the glass within less than 5 minutes of the car. It is pretty scary. This is not the Diamond Bar I have seen. I have lived in Diamond Bar for 10 years, and I lived in Walnut for 15 years. And every day the crimes are increasing. So what kind of patrol is given where there are like 4 banks in one shopping center? What is the police protection? What is the protection for the general public? I would like to get some answers from all the city council members. I would really get what kind of petrol is given, what is the service, what is the safety that, people have to go in the banks, out of fear that somebody will be exposed.
Speaking on a procedural issue that occurred during the August 3rd City Council meeting regarding emailed public comments on agenda item 6.2. My comment tonight is not specific to any item on the agenda or any agenda, but it relates to all items at Diamond Bar public meetings where the public can comment on any item verbally in person or by teleconference or by letter or by email. At the August 3rd meeting, several members of the public, including myself, commented on agenda item 6.2 by email. The city clerk acknowledged receipt of those emails at the meeting and read the names of the authors of those emails for everybody to hear. However, the content of those emails was not read into the record for all participants to hear up to the 5-minute limit imposed on public speakers. Even if the city council members did not read the emails prior to voting on the item, they would have heard the content of the emails and would be knowledgeable of that content if they were read aloud. Instead, the city council members could have voted on the item without reading the emails, which essentially silenced the voices of the members of the public who submitted emailed public comments. This could be a violation of the Brown Act. As for the reading of the emailed public comments verbally during the meeting, and as Mr. Fox pointed out, but I'll bring it up here too, California Government Code Chapter 9, Section 54954.3b, as beta of the Brown Act, does not require emailed public comments to be read and leaves it up to the discretion of the city and the person responsible for reading or managing public comments during the meeting. The regulation only requires the city to adopt reasonable regulations. The key here is to adopt reasonable regulations. However, Diamond Bar does not have any regulations or municipal code addressing a procedure on handling public comments submitted by email for the city council meeting. The city is making up random procedures on the fly, which is inconsistent and not reasonable. Refer to Diamond Bar Municipal Code, Section 2.08.030, Rules of Order for the City Council, and Policies and Procedure C-9. To prevent violations of the Brown Act, I make the following suggestions. Number one, the City Council should adopt a rule that specifies that City Council members shall acknowledge during the meeting that they have read all emails submitted by the public on an agenda item prior to voting. Number two, in lieu of number one, the city clerk or other city manager or officer shall read public comments submitted by email verbally into the record during the meeting. And number three, City Council should adopt a rule that addresses public comments submitted by email and includes numbers 1 and 2 above. And that's where I'm looking at this, just trying to repair this before it gets really out of hand. And that's my report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barcon. Mayor, I do not see any other hands raised at this time.
Is there anyone else out there on the phone that would like to address the city council? If so, please put your hand up.
No hands raised, Mayor.
Okay, we will close public comments for tonight. Mr. Fox, do you have any further comments?
I guess if I could just respond to a couple of things real quick. Once again, I think, we are, doing everything we can. We are in compliance and we exceed the requirements of the Brown Act. This is starting to sound like it's going down one of those paths of no good deed goes unpunished. We're trying to, accommodate as many folks as possible during the pandemic with our revised format. And as we're getting back to in-person services, we certainly have no intention or desire to stifle public comments. We can continue to have opportunities for people to participate, whether it's an agenda item or a non-agenda item. And we have never, at least in my tenure, attached emails to the meeting minutes that have been approved by the council. So I'm not sure where that's coming from. I will say we could probably do a better job of identifying the links for the archived version and the appended versions of the agenda. And that's not to be too technical, but it's our archive system versus our agenda management system. We need to get them to talk better. The information is there, albeit it's not as clear as maybe we can provide, and we can certainly work on that. So with that, we certainly want participation. We'll continue to work through, and we'll continue to make changes. All of the information on how to participate is always included on our website and on the printed agendas. Thank you.
And I'd just like to add that I have spoken to Mrs. Doshi and have emailed Mrs. Doshi, and I have also spoken to our captain of our sheriff's station, who is in attendance tonight, and definitely heard your comments. And the case that she's referring to has been assigned to a detective, and it is active. So I think we're doing everything we can from a counsel standpoint and from a law enforcement standpoint. I just wanted to assure the public of that. Okay, it's time to go on to...
The DeBerry City Attorney, and I would just like to add that the City Council has adopted a policy with respect to public comments, and it's in the City Council Standards of Operation and Code of Ethics. And as you know, to echo what the city manager just said, the city has gone above and beyond what the Brown Act requires in light of the situation and the environment that we are within COVID-19. And I will say, you know, I do represent several public agencies, and the city of Diamond Bar's policy with respect to public comments is as broad as anybody.
Thank you very much, Mr. DeBerry. I think I might have spoken over you at the very beginning, so I apologize. Could you say the first sentence again so everybody can hear it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have done a raised hand or something. But anyway, I just wanted to note that the City Council has adopted a policy on public comments in the City Council Standard of Operation and Code of Ethics. And of course, it's also printed on the agenda for every meeting.
Thank you very much, Mr. DeBerry. Could we move to the consent calendar, please?
Mayor and Council, on the consent calendar this evening. For the slides to catch up. Thank you. We have the approval of the regular City Council meeting minutes from August 3rd, ratification of the check register dated July 29th through August 11th, adoption of Resolution 2021-38, extending the declared local emergency regarding COVID-19. A red line version of the resolution has been provided to the council with updated case numbers reported as of yesterday. 3.4 is approval of a consultant services agreement with FRJ and Associates for the administration of the city's home improvement program through June 30th, 2026. Removal from further consideration, discussions regarding the health officer order related to face coverings, and cancellation of the September 7th City Council meeting. And that concludes the consent calendar for this evening.
Thank you. Would anybody on the council like to pull an item off for a separate vote or discussion?
I do. 3.1. I had a question, but it was not agendized. I don't want to ask during public comment section, but I want to pull 3.1. Just have a quick question.
Okay. Would anybody else like to pull anything? No. Mr. Chow, then would you like to go ahead and move the other items?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the rest of the agenda items. Consent calendar items.
Okay, that would be 3.2 through 3.6. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Please call the roll.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Chow?
Yes.
Councilmember Liu?
Yes.
Councilmember Tai?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lo?
Yes.
Mayor Lyons?
Yes. Okay, now on 3.1, Mr. Chow, go ahead.
Thank you. Just a question. It was not agendized, so I didn't want to ask the question during public comments, but a couple of people brought up the point that there was a couple of emails that were received in writing prior to the meeting. So based on our policy, how do we treat that? Do we eventually post that on the agenda, or as a policy we don't usually post that?
They are appended to the agenda packet the next day or two as we get caught up and close out the meeting, but it's actually stored in a different location on the website because of the archiving system that we have. So again, it is appended, any attachments, any information that's provided to the council prior to the meeting is printed and is available on the table outside as you come in. So everybody sees the same information, and we do reference, receipt of those information in the minutes, as we always have. And technically, the council's policy really is for action minutes, which is very, very, very minimal from, obviously we have the transcripts available on the website and on video, but that's how we are handling. So anything that gets submitted at a meeting or changed during a meeting gets uploaded, into our archive system.
Thank you, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Would you like to move the item now, Councilmember Chow?
Yes, I'll move for approval, item 3.1.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Would you call the roll, please, Ms. Santana?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Chow?
Yes.
Councilmember Liu?
Yes.
Councilmember Tai?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lo?
Yes.
Mayor Lyons?
Yes. Okay, now we move on to a public hearing, 4.1.